There are so many different advantages of the freehold to leasehold strategy because there's so many people out there that miss great opportunities like this that are right in front of them just because they don't know what to do. Here we're going to discuss freehold to leasehold, also known as title splitting. Now, what is this? So this is where you're taking a property and typically you're not doing a physical exercise, it's more of a paperwork exercise where you're changing the legal entity. So let me give you an example. So you've got a property, let's say it's 3 stories. In this 3-story property, you already have 3 flats. Now those 3 flats have their own separate communal areas, they have their own separate utilities, and that is already there. So you're not physically actually doing anything to that property. Now what you do is you, through a legal process, you create separate leases from that freehold unit. So that freehold unit encompassed all 3 of those flats. You now create 3 separate leases in there. So you've now got 3 separate entities. So you can sell a property, you could decide to refinance an individual property within that sum of those 3 flats. So you've taken a freehold and you converted those into 3 leaseholds in this example. So freehold to leasehold. Now, there are so many different advantages of the freehold to leasehold strategy. Let me share with you a few of these. First of all, where you create these leaseholds, you could decide to sell these leaseholds off. You could create an extra revenue from that, and you could still retain the freehold. Now, by retaining the freehold, if anybody wants to do any works, for example, then they have to come to the freehold, anything external. So for example, if there's a top flat that wanted to raise the roof and go in, may create a dormer, for example, they have to come to the freeholder to ask for your permission. And if they're making a larger income on that, you are within your rights to ask for a premium to actually give them the rights to do that. For example, lease extensions. To extend a lease, they will have to come to the freeholder. Service charges for the upkeep of the communal areas and the outside of the building, that's the freeholder's responsibility. So there's revenue you can create in this way as well. And there are so many other ways. The freehold to leasehold strategy in the right areas with the right type of stock will also increase and uplift value for those properties. So for example, with these 3 flats we're discussing, these 3 flats could be valued at £500,000 as a freehold part of the building. However, when you create these separate entities, each one of these could be valued at £250,000 each because the part is worth more than the sum of the building. So 3 flats at 250, we're looking at £750,000 compared to £500,000 as the freehold building, which had the same number of flats. You get my point? So in there, if you look at the difference, that's £250,000 revenue created in this worked example by using the freehold leasehold strategy or the title splitting strategy. I hope you're enjoying these insights. Now, I'd love to hear your comments as well. You can click on that bell icon, get the latest notifications. Even I've worked out where that one is. And you can also subscribe to the channel. I'm doing a number of videos like this, informative, to help you to move forward in your property journey. Now, some of the challenges that investors have when it comes to freehold leasehold is when it comes to financing. The myth is that you can get a property where you've got 2 parts of that property and you split the title. So you take that freehold and you make it into 2 leases, and you're going to get a lender for the ground element and you're going to get a lender for the upper element. Now that does happen, but that's not always the case. So you've got to be aware of this, because if you are the owner of both parts, lenders will look at that and you're not necessarily going to get the highest uplift. So be aware of what project you're getting into. It is a case-by-case basis and it does depend on the lender. Another pitfall to be aware of when it comes to freehold to leasehold is that do check the area and confirm that once you've created these separate entities, that the value of these entities is actually going to be going up. Is that actually the case? So this is where you work out the comparables right at the beginning of the project and you work the numbers out to make sure that they work, and then you apply the freehold to leasehold strategy. So the freehold to leasehold strategy is a great strategy and it will work in pockets across the country in specific goldmine areas. Something to be aware of.